Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, students. I am Vaibhav Shah and I am going to take your subject economics. First of all, I want to give a small introduction about me. I have completed my graduation in a BBA, then I have completed MBA, and recently I have completed my MCom course also. And I am teaching since 10 years, so I am having experience of 10 years in the commerce field. First of all, let us talk about the subject matter of economics. Basically, the subject economics is related or similar with the subject of social studies. In social studies, basically we are discussing the problems related to society and social issues. While here we are going to discuss about some of the issues of the subject matter economics. Economics is a very known word in today's world because basically during all the situation the government is using the economic variables for controlling the economic situation of a country. So from the point of view of a commerce, economics is also a very important subject. Basically up to the standard 10th you have studied the subject social studies or social science, but the focus of social science is on a social aspect while the focus of economics is on an economic aspect, like the chapters like population, poverty and unemployment, which is discussed during the standard 9th and 10th, is also applicable in economics. But here in economics we are going to discuss about the economic aspect of these problems of economy. Basically, the word comes to our mind that what is economics? So, economics is coming from the word oikonomia. It is a Greek word and basically used for denoting the economics as a subject matter. Here in this subject, we are going to discuss everything about the economic variable, that is demand and supply, factors of production, cost, revenue, markets, Indian economy, then population, poverty and unemployment will be covered in standard 12th, while in standard 11th we will discuss about some of the important aspects of economics. See, here what we are seeing is the textbook of economics, which is in a PDF form. I hope all of you are having your own copy of textbook, and if not, then please let me know. I will share this copy of PDF so that you will be able to understand each and everything. First of all, let us having a glimpse of a subject, that is total 11 chapters are there. First chapter is economics and introduction, which is a basic introductory portion of a subject matter of economics, while second one is a fundamental concepts and terminologies. As economics is a separate subject, they are having their own jargons and terminologies. So in chapter 2 we will discuss some of the basic terminologies of the chapter economics and the subject. Then chapter number 3rd and 4, that is demand and supply. In any of the studies of economics, demand and supply is the inevitable part, because without the study of demand and supply, no one is able to understand the economics in full. So, here we will discuss about demand and supply in chapter number 3 and 4. Then chapter number 5 is about the cost of production and concepts of revenue. That is, while producing any of the goods or services, we are having some kind of expenses, that is called the cost of production, and when we are selling these goods, we are getting the income in the form of revenue. Chapter 6 will discuss about some of the important aspects of markets and types of markets. In chapter 7 we will discuss Indian economy, which is basically divided into three parts, that is Indian economy in ancient time, then Indian economy during the British rule, that is before independence, and Indian economy after independence. Chapter 8 will discuss about the economic reforms. In that, first of all, we'll discuss about the LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. In chapter 9, we'll discuss about some of the important aspects of national income. Then in chapter 10, we'll discuss about the budget and different types of budgets and GST also. While in chapter 11, we'll going to discuss about the main economic thoughts of three different authors, that is Gandhiji and Kautilya and Pandit Dindayal Upadhyay. So this is the glimpse of all the chapters which we are going to cover in standard 11 itself. Let us start with the basic introduction of all these chapters. But before that, as we all know that it is the time of a pandemic where all of us have to sit at our home and study from the online lectures or from the YouTube link. My suggestion is that first of all we are care for our students. That's why we are requesting you to stay at home. Don't go outside anywhere without any reason, and follow all the instructions given by the government so that we can save and our family also save at home. The subject economics is a very interesting subject. If you are having an interest on some of the economic aspect, or if you relate yourself with the commerce studies, or if you seeing yourself as a businessman. So first of all, in first chapter, that is economics and introduction, here you have to see the left side corner or the left side column where introduction, or we can say what will be covered in this chapter. There is a glimpse of the chapter is given in the starting of every chapter. So whenever we are going to start a new chapter, first of all we'll discuss about the glimpse or the bird's eye view of the topics covered under this chapter. First of all, in chapter number 1, we are having the introduction, that is meaning of economics. Basically, economics is Indian as well as a foreign term also. So, in second point, we will discuss about the economics in Indian thought. Then, in third point, economics and development of economics as a science in the West, because some of the authors have tried to show economics as a different science in the West also. Then we will discuss 4 different definitions given by 4 different authors. Economic activity and non-economic activity, in which all the activities which are doing for the purpose of getting anything in a return is called economic activities, while non-economic activities is not for the purpose of getting anything in a return. Then microeconomics and macroeconomics, presentation in which statistical, there is a 3 ways of presenting the data. First one is through the statistical information, second one is through the diagram and graph, and third one through the tabular, which we are going to discuss in detail in this chapter. Then there will be the types of diagrams or bar graphs, that is bar diagram, cluster bar diagram, pie charts, and lastly importance of economics, which is useful for our everyday behavior, and economic importance, in which we are going to take some of the decision, and lastly we will discuss about the professional decision making. Here for this subject you have to prepare a fair book in which you have to write all the questions provided by us, and in fair book you have to write everything in a neat and cleanly manner. It means we are going to teach you or going to explain you that how to write all the questions, whether it is of a 1 mark, 2 marks, 3 marks or 5 marks. So don't worry about it. We'll help you in each and every step of your studies. Second chapter is about the fundamental concepts and terminology. As we have already discussed that this chapter is a different or a separate science. So they are having their own dictionary and their own vocabulary where the jargons are used. So for understanding, or we can say for the better understanding of economics, first of all we have to understand each and every concepts like price and value. There is a difference between these two. We will discuss when we will start with this chapter. Then goods and services, they have their own definitions like with what are the goods and what are the services, types of goods. Then wealth and welfare and the concept of welfare, that is meaning and characteristics of wealth. Then types of wealth and welfare. Then factors of production. I think factors of production and their introduction is already studied in standard 9th and 10th. Then also we'll discuss about the land, labor, capital and entrepreneur, their meaning and characteristics. Then we'll move forward the trade cycle and their stages of trade cycle and its importance, definition of a trade cycle and phases of trade cycle. These topics are very much important for the subject matter of economics, and once you understand all these topics, the subject will become interesting for you. Now let us move towards the chapter number 3, that is demand. So here it is given on a page number 20, that is demand. First of all, we will discuss about the introduction and meaning. First of all, what is demand? If a beggar wants to eat something but he is not able to purchase, then is it his demand? No, it is just a desire which is the one of the element of demand, but it not constrain a demand itself. So there will be 5 elements to become a demand for any of the product, that is desire to purchase, willingness to purchase, ability to purchase at a particular price and particular point of time. We are going to discuss all these topics in detail also. Then after meaning we'll discuss about the factors. It means which are those determinants which decides the demand. Then demand function, it means the functional relationship between the demand and its different elements. Law of demand. Then exceptions, because there are some of the exceptions. And expansion, contraction, increase, decrease. See, it is just the trial of the topics which are covered under different chapters. We are going to discuss each and everything line by line in each of the chapter, so don't worry about this particular subject. Then we will move forward the elasticity of demand. In that there is 3 types of elasticity: price elasticity, income elasticity and lastly cross elasticity and their methods. See, just have a look that here we are also having different kind of tables and diagrams and different kind of methods and different theories are there, which will be very interesting when you will going to study about this chapter. Then we will move forward the supply. Supply is the mirror image of the chapter demand, because in here in this chapter also you will be having different meaning and factors affecting supply. There will be the difference between production, supply and stock, which are very small topics. Then individual supply and market supply, as we are having demand function, so here also we are having a supply function. Law of supply, relationship between price and supply. Change in supply, that is expansion, contraction, increase, decrease. Exceptions, and lastly price determination in a market. After understanding this particular point, that is price determination in the market, you will come to know about how the price is fixed in each and every product, or the process of price fixation by the market itself. Then we will move forward the chapter number 5. I hope everyone is getting what I try to say. Then in cost of production and concept of revenue, we will be having 2 parts in this chapter. First of all, in cost of production, we are going to discuss various concepts of cost, that is real cost, opportunity cost and monetary cost. Move forward, the costs are divided into 2 parts, that is short term cost and long term cost. Short-term cost is again divided into two parts, that is fixed cost and variable cost, while in long term all the costs are variable. Then we will be having some of the more classification, then interrelationship between average cost and marginal cost, long run cost curves. So here the first part is over, then second part is a concept of revenue. See, the cost is an expense incurred by a company or a firm for producing a different units, while the revenue is the income or source of income for a business activities. So here we are going to discuss about the total revenue, average revenue and marginal revenue, and in different market conditions what are their concepts. So here it comes to an end of chapter number 5th also. I think all of you are getting and not getting bored, because we have to study all these concepts in a detail. Don't worry, we'll be able to understand and we'll be able to write all these concepts very easily. The next one is the chapter number 6, that is market. Meaning of a market: basically the market is a place where buyers and sellers come together, or they are coming in a contact of each other for exchanging of goods and services in exchange of money. So here first of all we will be having a meaning of a market, then characteristics of a market. We will be having 5 different characteristics. Then classification of market is divided into 3 parts, that is based on location, based on quantity and based on competition. Amongst all these 3, the third one is the main topic, that is based on competition, because here the market based on competition is divided into 2 parts. First one is a perfect competitive market, while second one is an imperfect competition. And in imperfect competition we will be having 3 types, that is monopoly, monopolistic competition and oligopoly. To discuss all these points in a very detail, like perfect competition, their meaning and characteristics of perfect competition. Then we will be having second point as a monopoly, their definition and their characteristics of monopoly is there. Then we will be having monopolistic competition, that is also the part of imperfect competition, their definitions and their characteristics. Then lastly we will discuss about the fourth market form, that is oligopoly, their definition and their characteristics. So after discussing all these 4 different forms of a market, we will be able to understand that while the different market conditions are there, and in each situation how the particular manager is dealing. And next one is chapter number 7. Here the chapter number 7 is basically relates with the history, but here the main aim of this chapter is focusing on economic aspects. So first of all, this chapter is divided into 3 parts, that is ancient India, then Indian economy before independence and Indian economy after independence. And fourth point, which is a separate point, that is a characteristics of India as a developing economy. So here first of all in ancient India we are going to discuss about the occupational structure, that is agriculture is the primary sector, while industries is the secondary and services is the tertiary sector. Then we will discuss about the national income and economic prosperity of the ancient India. Then we will move forward the Indian economy before independence. It means during the British rule, the condition and position of all this, that is railways, roadways, banks, social structure, agriculture and everything. Then in third point we are going to discuss about the Indian economy after independence, in which we are going to discuss about all the aspects, that is per capita income, agriculture, industry, service sector, population, poverty, unemployment and human development. And lastly we will discuss that what are the characteristics that makes the Indian economy as a developing economy. So after understanding all these points, we will be able to understand the condition of India or a position of India before British rule, during British rule and after British rule, and the situation of Indian economy in the recent time. So the chapter 7 is also interesting, in which we are going to discuss about some of the historical events. Chapter number 8 is the economic reforms. which is basically focusing on the main three elements, that is LPG. First one, L means liberalization and their process. Second one is a privatization and its process, and third one is a globalization and its process. As we all knows that Indian economy was very restrictive economy before 1991. So from that situation we are facing, or at that time we were facing some of the very difficult time, and that's why we have to compulsorily adopt the liberalization, privatization and globalization. Up to this chapter is divided into first part. The second part is all about the types of foreign investment. Basically there are two types of foreign investment. First one is a foreign institutional investment, which is related to the Indian economy and stock market, while second one is foreign direct investment. So here we are going to discuss about both this point in detail. Then we will be having the nature of foreign direct investment, India's foreign trade policy, and India's foreign trade, which are divided into two parts, that is foreign trade policy before globalization and after globalization. And lastly we will discuss about the evaluation of economic reforms, that is favorable and unfavorable effects of economic reforms. Next one is a chapter number 9, which is very interesting and important chapter from the viewpoint of economics, because after completing your standard 12, whether you are going to join a CA course or a CS or a BCom or a BBA, each and every stream is focusing on the national income, because it is the most important concept of subject economics. So here in this chapter, first of all we will learn about the general meaning of national income. Then there is three different authors who have given their three different definition on the basis of three different aspects. That is, production definition is given by Alfred Marshall, while consumption definition is given by Irving Fisher, and money based definition, that is income definition, is given by A.C. Pigou. So from these three different point of view, we will be having three different measurement of national income, that is methods. From the production, from the definition of Alfred Marshall, we are having production method. From the definition of Irving Fisher, we are having income method, and from the definition of A.C. Pigou, we will be having the expenditure method. Then we will move forwards. There will be the difference between the national income and national product. Then we will discuss about the circular flow. After understanding this particular point of circular flow of national income, you will be able to understand the whole national income. And then is some of the important concepts, because in standard 12 there is the word like GNP, NNP and GDP will be quoted everywhere. So to understanding the standard 12 textbook, you have to understand these concepts very easily. Then lastly we'll discuss about the problems of measuring national income and monetary income and real income. Next one is chapter number 10th, which is related with the government's budget. In government budget, what is, first of all, what is budget? So budget is an expenditure and income statement of government of India. So in this chapter, first of all we'll learn about the meaning of a budget, then a purpose of a budget, in which there will be four different purposes for preparing and explaining the budget. Then we will be having a types of budget, which is divided into two parts. First one is a balanced budget and second one is an unbalanced budget. While in unbalanced budget we are having two different points, that is deficit budget and surplus budget. So we are going to discuss everything, that is meaning and merits and demerits of this deficit budget and surplus budget. The next one is a point number 10.10 is a accounts of a budget, in which, as in balance sheet we are having two sides, that is debit side and credit side. In government's accounts of a budget also there is two sides, that is credit side and debit side. In credit side, all the incomes are recorded, while in debit side, all the expenditures will be recorded. Point number 11 is the most important point from the point of view of a business and profession. It is all about the goods and service tax, that is GST, which is introduced by Government of India in recent time. Then in point number 12 we'll discuss about the ideas of different tiers of governments, that is union budget means central government, state budget means the budget prepared by different states, and local government, that is the budget prepared by municipalities and municipal corporations. Then in point number 13 will be discuss about the functions of panchayat and the sources of revenue for panchayat, and lastly we'll discuss about types of deficit in a budget. These types are very much important from the point of view of a macroeconomic variable, because through these four different deficit you will be able to understand that what is deficit and how it affects the Indian economy. Lastly, we'll discuss about the effects of preparing a budget. Basically, the budget is prepared by a finance minister of a country, and it is presented by them on 1st February of every year. And basically, the time period of budget will be the 1 year, that is starting from 1st April of every year up to the 31st March. And some of the more insights will be discussed when we learn about this chapter in detail. So here it comes to an end of chapter number 10. Next one is the chapter number 11, that is the economic thoughts. Here this chapter is also divided into three different parts, because three different authors have given their point of view on the economic thoughts. First of all, the main economic thoughts is of Kautilya, that is Chanakya, because as we all know that Chanakya is the father of ancient or traditional economics. So here first of all we'll discuss about the introduction of Chanakya and its different studies, then economics of Kautilya, that is Chanakya, and their different points. Then secondly we'll discuss about the Gandhiji and introduction of Gandhiji, then influence of different books and thinkers on Gandhiji and their main economic thoughts. You will be surprised when you are knowing that the Gandhiji is also an economist, and he has given some of the very important points in economic studies. Lastly, we are going to discuss about the Pandit Dindayal Upadhyaya and its introduction about the studies and their main economic thoughts of Pandit Dindayal Upadhyaya. And last but not least is the objectives of Indian economy according to Pandit Dindayal Upadhyaya. The front page or the cover page of your textbook is portrayed by the three different photographs of three different authors, that is Chanakya, Gandhiji and Pandit Dindayal Upadhyaya. So here in this particular subject we are having total 11 chapters, and from these 11 chapters we will be able to understand the different studies or different theories prepared by different authors. Basically this subject is divided into two parts, that is macroeconomic variables and microeconomic variables, which we are going to discuss in chapter number 1 and in point number 1.5. Microeconomic variables means all those variables which is related to a particular person, particular product or a particular firm. That's why it is a very small portion of a big economy, and that's why it is microeconomics. While macroeconomics is the aggregate, it means it is totality in nature. So when we are discussing about income of a person, it is a microeconomics. But when we are discussing about the income of a whole nation, that is national income, then we are discussing about the macroeconomic variables. Here the main objective behind understanding this topic is that from chapter number 1st to 6th, that is the basics of economics, fundamental concepts of economics, demand, supply, cost of production and revenue, and lastly the market is included or covered in microeconomics. While last 5 chapters, that is chapter number 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11, is from the point of view of a macroeconomics, so that our economics is also divided into two parts. First part is from chapter number 1 to 6 is about the microeconomics, while chapter number 7 to 11 is about the macroeconomic studies. So this will be the total of or total glimpse of the subject, that is economics. This will be useful in every step of life while you are studying in commerce line. So that's all about today's chapter. I hope you have enjoyed a lot, and please go through it once and we'll discuss about the next topic from next chapter or next lecture onwards. Thank you very much, class. Be safe, stay home. Thank you.